Yeah.
Hey, what is up guys, Orhan here, and this is the Moto 360. Now I've had my eye on this watch for a really long time now. I finally made the move, I went ahead and bought it, and I've been playing around with it for a couple of weeks now, and these are just my overall thoughts and impressions on how the smartwatch performed during the time that I used it. Okay, so the main reason why I bought the smartwatch is because of the design, and I really like the design here. It's a metal rail on the sides and glass on the top and bottom. The bottom side houses the heart rate sensor so you can keep track of your steps and fitness. And on top of that is a circular display, obviously with that little black bar at the bottom that people tend to usually hate. But in my time that I used it, I really started to ignore it, and it wasn't really that big of a problem for me. And I figured out that most of the people saying that they hate the black bar at the bottom are people that haven't used a smartwatch. So after a while, your eye definitely starts to ignore it, and it's not that big of a problem. The user experience is pretty nice as well. It runs Android Wear 1.0, so super familiar for Android Wear users. But this is a circular display, so some elements in Android Wear are cropped in from the side to the center to accommodate for that circular display. And since we're talking about the display is 1.6 inches diagonally with a 320 by 290 resolution. And to be honest, that's not a high pixel density at all. You can easily make out the pixels if you look for them. But for one, you don't really use your smart watch as much as your smartphone, so you don't really need that high resolution display. But if you were to use your smartwatch as much as your smartphone, after a certain period of time, you would really start to notice the low resolution display. But obviously you don't, so it's not a big problem. Your eye really starts to ignore it after a while. And one thing that people are always worried about when they're buying smartwatches is the battery life. So here's an entire summary of the battery life of the Moto 360. I would say it's actually pretty okay, not that great, it's not that bad either. It's a 320 milliamp hour battery, and that's not a high battery capacity at all. But fortunately, the low resolution display really accommodates for that low capacity battery. Like I mentioned before, if you had a high resolution display, it would take a massive hit to the battery. But yeah, on days where I would get, average notifications, I would finish the day with around 20% battery, like I said. And on days where I would have more notifications and messages, and I'm using the Google Now services, I'm using maps when I'm driving around, I would finish the day with less than 10% battery, and sometimes I would even run out before I plugged in the battery. And on days where I didn't get much notifications, I would actually finish the day with upwards of 40 or even 50% battery life, depending on how inactive I was during the day. But one advantage you have for the small battery is that since it's so small, you can plug it in for nearly like 30 minutes and you can get a tremendous amount of battery life back into the smartwatch. So if you're going out for the night and you have 15 minutes to spare, you can just plug this thing in and get upwards of around 30 to 40%, sometimes even 50% battery life inside the smartwatch, and that's enough to last you through the entire night. And on days where I actually did run out of battery before I plugged it in, it was towards the end of my day, and that's where I don't really use the smartwatch, but this is for me, obviously. But during the day when I ran out, it was usually during the end of the day, so I didn't really have to use it. It wasn't really a big deal for me because I don't use my smartwatch late at night. So yeah, even though I did run out, it was not a big problem because it was during a time which I don't really use the smartwatch. But again, it does run out. One of my favorite things about this smartwatch is the charging mechanism. It's Qi wireless charging, so you can use any wireless charging pad you have. But the included wireless charger that comes with the smartwatch, it looks pretty dope, especially when you have it on a desk. I really like the representation and how the battery percentage is shown while it's charging. I think it looks pretty dope. But one disadvantage I would have to that, especially when I first got it, I would think that, what if I run out during the day? It's not really practical to carry around a wireless charging pad when you're out of battery. It would be more convenient to have a micro USB cable, but for me especially, it ran out during the end of the day, so I didn't really have to charge it. It wasn't a problem for me, but you might want to note that. So yeah, that's basically it. Just my thoughts and impressions on the smartwatch and how it performed during the time that I used it. And yeah, leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Till next time, it's Orhan. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.